This is Seamus here with The True Story. Now at first glance, you might consider me as just another guy sitting in a chair talking about video games. Well, I'll have you know that I'm just some guy sitting in a chair talking about video games. Go figure. Regardless of this, today I'll be covering the PlayStation 3 exclusive title, One Piece, Pirate Warriors. And no, don't worry, I won't be recording the footage like this. I'm better than that. For those of you not in the know, One Piece is a popular manga series created by Eiichiro Oda. Published by Shueisha in 1997 through their weekly manga magazine, Shonen Jump, it has since then become the most popular and successful manga series in history. The story follows a boy named Monkey D. Luffy, who ate a magical fruit that made his body turn into rubber. From that point, he sets out to sea in search of a legendary treasure named One Piece, in order to become the next Pirate King. Oda has taken this simple concept of a boy setting out to sea to become the next king of the pirates, and takes full advantage of the diverse geography the setting provides. Not to mention that the characters are well crafted, developed, and play off each other brilliantly. I know, I'm glancing over a few things, but if I don't, you'd probably just switch the video to something you'd deem more entertaining than a video review. Oh well. It's good to see that Pirate Warriors knows how good the source material is, and mostly takes advantage of this. It takes place from the very beginning of the series and goes up to the beginning of the 2-year time skip, and covers the most memorable moments in that time frame. Because of this though, certain locations are not covered or even mentioned in the game, like Skypiea and Thriller Bark. For the story events that are covered, they are all fully voiced and well integrated into the narrative. Unfortunately, a large portion of the story is told through uninspired portraits and artwork, which just screams laziness. The story mode itself also falters by not taking advantage of some of the more memorable characters and scenes from the original source. For example, if you only played the game with no prior knowledge of the story, you'd have no idea that Nami had an older sister, or the fact that the Straw Hat Pirates fought members of Baroque works while Luffy went after Crocodile. Also, because the story mode glosses over so much, which to be fair wouldn't have aided gameplay, the majority of the character development from the original series is completely lost. This might not seem like much of a deal on the surface, but some of the most impactful moments from the manga and anime series lose all their emotional weight, and they're just there to spoil newcomers to these events. It's a shame, but One Piece Pirate Warriors cannot be considered a good gateway to introduce people to the series. You'd just be better off showing them the manga or anime series instead. However, unless you're looking for an anime box set, most people purchase an anime-based game because of the gameplay. And this is where most of the problems are shown. The game is split into 3 distinct modes: Action, Muso, and Boss. Action stages have a large emphasis on traversal through the use of Luffy's Gum-Gum abilities, though the usage of them is rather clunky. The main crux of traversal and item interaction involves you going into a third-person perspective, all the while working with an overly sensitive cursor, which, I should add, cannot be adjusted in the options menu. All this does is slow down the game's pace, and is just a way for the developers to add new control schemes into a game for the sake of variety. Not to mention that this gimmick is made completely worthless in other game modes because of the lack of the traversal mechanics. Funnily enough, certain sections of exploration like headbutting a cannon to cross a gap, or flying in the air while avoiding obstacles, use simple button presses. So why not apply that to the events that require the cursor? It just baffles me to no end. Speaking of button presses, this leads me to the other crippling flaw of the story mode: the overusage of the 2 words that gamers usually hate to hear: QuickTime events. Now, to be fair, QuickTime events can be done well if there is a large sense of payoff from them. For example, the Naruto Storm series does this well by giving all the button presses a sense of weight to them, as well as having each of these sections have a dynamic, cinematic style when compared to the rest of the game. In stark contrast, One Piece Pirate Warriors is one of the worst games to use the QuickTime event. Unlike other games that use this trope, there is a complete lack of challenge behind them. It is almost impossible to fail these inputs because not only are they telegraphed so far in advance, they give you so much time to press the buttons, all the tension in the scene is completely lost. For example, when fighting Arlong in the 3rd chapter of the game, a segment is shown where you press the same button prompt over and over again to avoid his attacks. Why not make the scene just play out without forcing these tacked on, lazy, pointless button prompts? just how far is this gimmick going to stretch? It's not like we'll be seeing this in any RPG... Well, shit! To give the game some praise, and to not sound like this guy, the finishing moves against all the bosses where you mash the square button and end it feel amazing and have a sense of satisfaction behind them that the rest of the QuickTime events lack. Muso mode and boss stages are more akin to what fans of the Warrior franchise are accustomed to, mashing buttons mixing weak and strong attacks together to make a variety of devastating combos. New to the series is the partner system, which allows you to temporarily play as another character mid-mission to damage your foes. On paper, this seems like a great way to add variety, but in practice it has no immediate benefits, since you can just get better results by plowing through the game without ever using this mechanic once. Issues in the combat system also arrive when you find out that button mashing and spamming moves is an incredibly viable tactic and more often will not lead to an easier victory. Also, the game can become mind-numbingly repetitive, since all you're essentially doing is the same thing for hours on end, defeating wave after wave of enemies while capturing bases and completing objectives. It's certainly not for everyone. As you go through the story, you gradually begin to unlock more characters to use in the other game modes. This is where the real fun of the game lies, since every character has a wildly different moveset to make sure that no character feels the same as someone else. For example, one character focuses on range, another on charge attacks, another on freezing opponents, and the list goes on. Unfortunately, there are only 13 playable characters to choose from, but considering that past Warriors games lacked unique characters, and focused more on a wide variety of characters that all play the same way, it's good to see that Tecmo Koei strayed away from this old formula for a change. You have the option to play as these characters through certain Muso missions based on story events, both offline and online. Though even these can get tiresome because of the lack of stage diversity, and the mission variety in each stage doesn't change and gets boring after a while. Also, the online mode uses all the stages from the offline mode. Having online exclusive missions would have incentivized players to play online, but that just isn't the case here. Character customization comes in the form of coins. By completing missions and leveling up, you are awarded coins to place on your character. With certain combinations, you can add skills to your character, which can help balance the odds in your favor. However, only One Piece fans who have prior knowledge of the series will know some of these combinations, because they are all based on story scenes from the original source, including some that aren't even covered in this game. The presentation in the game is a very mixed bag, but the greatest achievement from it comes in the form of the character cast. They all look great, in more ways than one. They are also animated surprisingly well too, with each character's personalities and fighting styles being perfectly recreated. It's obvious that a great deal of care was done when working on them. The visuals are more inspired from the manga than they are the anime, with the characters having line-based shadows around them, the text-based cutscenes being in the style of a manga page, as well as Japanese text occasionally showing up on screen to aid the manga aesthetic. Technical problems, on the other hand, bring down the game's overall quality. Things such as horrendous clipping with the environment, bizarre texture glitches, insane amounts of slowdown, and typos. Okay, so that last one is a problem against the localization team, but it's a problem nonetheless. The voice acting is well done, thanks to the anime's original cast providing their respective roles. Unfortunately, at least to everyone who doesn't speak Japanese, their performances can't be appreciated because most of the dialogue during gameplay is in the text boxes. In the thick of combat, you won't be able to read them and focus on attacking at the same time, not to mention that if a button prompt appears while dialogue is playing, the text box temporarily disappears. But we shouldn't complain. At the end of the day, it could have been a lot worse.
I did not hit her. It's not true. It's bull. I did not hit her. I did not. Oh, hi, Mark.
One Piece as a whole is a fantastic manga and anime series, though when it comes to the game adaptations, From the pile of rubbish, Pirate Warriors certainly stands out by focusing on the memorable aspects the series provides, so it's a shame that some major technical and design flaws hold the game back from mass acceptance. Despite this, Pirate Warriors is the best One Piece game in the franchise, though that statement loses its power when you consider that the games that preceded it were kind of bad. Regardless, this is Seamus from the True Story. Thanks for watching. Look forward to more reviews from me in the near future.